So, I want to start out first by having you tell me why you're here. I know you're all thinking it's those 15 extra credit points, isn't it? It's cool. We'll be honest about that. But tell me who you are. Are you all education students? Are you, yeah? So you are the future educators of the world? Yes? Excellent. This is a quote by Chip Anderson, which has been up on the screen for a good 10 minutes now, so I'm sure you've already read it. But it says, as educators, our challenge and our joy is helping students move to levels of personal excellence by becoming the persons they have the potential to be. The cool thing about it is that this perspective is that in the process, we can also move towards our own level of excellence and become the people that we are supposed to be. And that's really the perspective that Strengths takes. Have any of you taken the Strengths Finder or the Strengths Quest? You have. All right. Do you still know your top 5? No. Okay, that's all right. This is the Strengths, and try saying Strengths Quest 5 times real fast, and you can feel my pain. This is the book that accompanies what I'm talking about. There are also a good dozen others that are on the same topic, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today, is really trying to understand your strengths and just what this particular tool has to offer. My name's MB, or Mary Beth Beighley. I'm the Director of Staff Development here at CC. I've been here since, I think 2008, and yeah, I'm here I did the certification for Strengths Quest also in 2008 and have been doing this as a staff development tool since then. Come on in, grab a snack, find a seat. And I will tell you right now, but we will actually add meaning to it later, my top 5 strengths are input, communication, developer, activator, and ideation. And those words will mean absolutely nothing to you right now, but they will by the end of our time together. So a little bit of the background for Strengths Quest. The theoretical perspective, and that's the only time you're going to hear me say something like theoretical, is from positive psychology and really looking at, sorry class, this kind of kills it, really takes a look at, rather than developing our weaknesses, really looking at the world from a framework. I'm sorry, with these cards, just take one. We'll be using them later. Rather than looking at our weaknesses, really changing it to a study of positive emotions, positive environment, positive character traits, and just kind of making that shift. When we talk about strengths, we don't talk about strengths as being good or bad. We don't judge them. We all have strengths, and they are very different, and they interact very differently. You might be familiar with DISC or Myers-Briggs. Have you guys heard of those tools? Those are personality profiles and really look at behavioral assessments, whereas with strengths, it's truly looking at what some of your innate talents are. You know, how are you wired, what were you born with, and what can you truly develop? The other tools that I described a moment ago are often used for self-awareness, and I do those on campus as well. Going through the DISC and helping people understand, why do I behave like this when I get really angry? Or why do I behave like this when I feel kind of, pushed in a corner? Whereas strengths really looks at where your areas of excellence lie. So I have now just talked for 5 minutes straight, and from here on out, it's an interactive discussion, so I will be asking for participation. So just a heads up on that. But here's a start. What if I walked into this room thinking, geez, I got to do this with college students. They're probably going to be on their cell phones. They're probably going to be texting. They'll probably have little sidebar conversations. This is going to be great. In fact, I'm old enough to be their mother. How would that affect my presentation? Would it have any effect? Yeah, kind of a negative, kind of a, oh, she's real excited to be here. And what if you walked into your first classroom, with a student like this, and you're going, oh, I wonder which kids are the troublemakers, which ones are going to be the chatty ones, which one am I going to have to send out to the hall first? You know, if you approach your classroom with that type of perspective, you know, how is that going to affect how you're teaching for the semester? Yeah, you guys are just kind of nodding, but nobody speaks up, right? But it's going to have an effect at how you look at things. And it will affect how I spend the next 80 minutes with you. But let's say this is not your student, thank goodness. And instead, now I'm walking into this room thinking, I have 90 minutes to talk to students about their top 5 strengths. Each one of them has 5 talents that are identified through this assessment, and I get to try for the next 80 minutes to try and pull that out. How cool is that? How's that going to change my perspective and how I teach you? Yeah, I'm going to be excited. I'm going to be engaged. You guys even kind of smiled when I started talking about that each one of you has talents. You can't not score any talents with this assessment. You can try. There's 34, the way it divides it up, and you can't not have some. Okay, so that just shifts the whole perspective. You know, same thing with when you walk into your classrooms in the future. If you walk in going, wow, this semester, each one of my students brings to this classroom 5 signature talents. How am I going to discover that? How am I going to show it to them and get them to use it so that they can be the best them that they can be? I mean, that's a complete shift from, I wonder who the troublemaker is, who am I going to have to send out to the hall? If these kids sneeze on me, I'm going to scream, right? Suddenly we're looking at them at all these little, you know, people of potential, which is kind of a cool thing. So this paradigm shift that this book brings and that this assessment brings is shifting how we look at our students, how we look at ourselves. I mean, think of even as you think about yourself. I have 5 talents. And here all these years I thought I was talentless. You know, I actually have 5. And maybe even more, but it only tells me 5. And I can use that to help me achieve and succeed in life. The Strengths Quest mission, Strengths Quest is actually produced by the Gallup organization. You may have heard of the Gallup poll. But they're the ones that actually put this out. And their mission is to enable students to discover, develop, apply strengths in academics, career, and beyond. Cool thing about once you know your talents and strengths, it doesn't just have to stay in the classroom. It can expand throughout your entire life. However, I need to do a little warning here. This may result in a culture and community that focuses on strengths, so do be careful. Here's a quick look at just the books that you can go out and buy. Some of you will win a book today, so get ready to participate. You guys are excited. I just saw everyone sit up on their seat a little bit. They also have a website. If you Google Strengths Quest, you'll be able to get to the website where there's just a plethora of information and material. But now, this is going to be the forced participation. I'm so glad that there are tables in the room. We are going to do, on your tables, there's a paper that just says the writing challenge. If you could make sure everyone at your table has one. That would be fabulous. You guys are all prepared. This is timed. Don't start writing anything yet. I haven't told you what to write. Okay, are you guys ready? Pen in hand? Pencil in hand? Come on. All right, you've got 1 through 5 on your sheet, right? So on that first column, I want you to write 5 times your first name and your last name. Don't start. On your mark, get set, go. And then just put your pencils or pens down when you're done. Lots of writing going on. Ooh, that was fast. 20 seconds. That's what you've used up. 25. One more, come on. Yes. All right. You guys finished that exercise in 28 seconds. Give yourselves a round of applause. That was fabulous. Amazing. Now, all I need you to do is take your pen or pencil and put it in your other hand. And I'm simply just going to ask you to do the same simple task. Write your first name and last name. Okay? Any questions? Don't start yet. I haven't started the timer. Any questions? No? We're all good? Okay. On your mark. Hang on, I got to do this slowly. Get set and go. Okay, 30 seconds has passed by. Still some folks writing. Down to the 3 finalists finishing. Oh, 1, 10. Yes! You guys did that exercise in 67 seconds. Yeah. You took more than twice as long as the first time, and yet the task was the same. All I asked you to do was to write your first name and your last name. How did you do? Oh. You did not do so well on the second part of the test. Oh. Whoa, you went on the back page. Wow.
I can't do that.
Needed that extra space. How did your teachers do? Oh.
I think I beat up my 4-year-old grandson.
Boy, Pat, yours just got bigger and bigger as we went down the page. So I'm thinking that rather than finish my talk, we should probably just spend the next hour writing with your non-dominant hand, because you guys aren't very good at it. Would that be probably a good use of your time if we did that? No, I mean, you get the 15 extra credit points anyway. Why wouldn't it be a good use of your time? Get bored and frustrated. What did you say? You're just not gonna do it. Oh, you'll never use it. Good point. Why else would it be a waste of time? Yes, thank you. You can already write your name with your other hand. In fact, it's an area of strength for you. I can tell by the papers. You're good at writing your name with one hand. Not so good with the other. So rather than spend an hour writing with your non-dominant hand so that you can just be less sloppy than you are right now, let's stick with what you're good at. So thank you for playing along with the writing quiz. You should probably practice that in case you come back to one of these talks again to improve your time. No, I'm just kidding. But that's really kind of the paradigm shift that Strengths wants you to take. Don't focus on what you're not good at. Don't focus so much on your weaknesses. Let's look at areas where you're already strong. And let's make those just explode. There are some assumptions that are simply wrong that we have learned along the way. And one is all behaviors can be learned. We can learn anything. You can do anything if you try hard enough. If you want it bad enough, you can do it. Have you guys heard any of these before? If you dream it, you can achieve it. The best in a role all get there exactly the same way. And weakness fixing leads to excellence. Tell you about myself. I was a musician in high school. One of those kids that was in the plays, did music. I don't have an athletic bone in my body, not even a toenail, okay? It doesn't matter how hard I try, I will not be able to successfully dribble a basketball. It doesn't matter if I dream it. It doesn't matter how badly I want it. I will go from being really, really bad at it to just being bad at it. Okay? You have no idea. I had young children. They're now grown up. But you know, I'm out there throwing the ball so my daughter can swing. And finally, one day she was about 13, and we're at the park, and she just goes, "Mom, you just kind of suck at this." You know, I'm thinking, I've been pitching for a good, almost 2 decades now with kids. And she's like, "Yeah, you're just not so good." She's one that's just kind of brutally honest. And she's right. It doesn't matter how badly I want it. I'm not going to get there. I might see incremental improvement, but I'm never going to be a star athlete, ever. The other thing that I find quite often in my office, because I do staff development, which is professional development for all of our employees on campus, is this notion of I have to fix what I'm really bad at. Like if you come and see my office, I do not have organizational skills. And earlier on in my career, I went to countless, organizational management, how to arrange your office, time management, time after time and time again, only to still be quite bad at it, Which would help you be more successful in life? Knowing what your weaknesses are and attempting to improve them, or knowing what your strengths are and attempting to build on them? I kind of led you up to the correct answer already, right? Yet, we spend so much time thinking about weaknesses, and we really have a culture that has focused on our weaknesses. I use this example, and I'm so glad I have all these future teachers that are here. Gallup did a poll, and they polled, hundreds, thousands of adults, and asked them this question. Your child comes home with their report card, and they receive the following grades: an A in math, A- in history, a B in social studies, and a D in, give me another subject here, suddenly I'm losing, pardon? English, a D in English. And the question was worded very specifically, which grade deserves the most attention? Okay? The question didn't ask, out of all of these grades, which one was best, which one was worst. The question said, which, out of your limited time as a parent, which grade deserves the most attention? And what do you think the parents replied? The D. Hands down, the D. Now, this kid just brought home 2 A's and a B, and yet that D is what gets the most attention, the most time, and can kind of feel a little deflating, maybe, if you're that kid. Now I grew up this way. I don't know if you grew up in a household like this, but that was just how you looked at report cards. You immediately scanned which one did I do the worst in. It's like when you get a test back, which ones did I get wrong? You don't celebrate that you got 1 through 9 right. You go, oh, I got 10 wrong. Jeez. And then you go down the rest. Oh, 13. You know, you're not going, I got 11, I got 12, oh, 13, I got 14, I got 15. No, we're just like so weakness driven. And we're going to shift that. We want to shift that to not ignoring weaknesses. We all have them. We have to manage around them. You know, this child that brought home the D is going to have to get a passing grade to go on to the next grade level. But let's admit they may never get an A in that subject. Okay? But wow, they have, you know, math skills that are out of this world. So how can we leverage all of that? We need to build some right assumptions. Now, I had mentioned before the faulty assumption that all behaviors are learned, and if you want it bad enough, you can get it. Well, some behaviors can be learned. Many, as the example I used, are nearly impossible to learn. And we need to kind of separate the difference out between talent, skills, and knowledge. You know, if you think back to the example of me attempting to be an athlete, I have no talent for it, 0. And I can add all the skills and knowledge I want, but I am missing a key ingredient. You know, now I could, you know, keep trying out, keep trying, and get a little better. But I don't have that key ingredient where some people just, man, my grandson, you know, 3 years old, he's just like, catch it, Granny, and he just nails it every time. You know, I can't throw it back to him to save my life. But, you know, so he's got a specific talent that he's just good at. The best in a role deliver the same outcomes, but they use different behaviors. They deliver the same outcomes, so you might have exceptional leadership, but they do it in a way that uses their talents, their strengths. And that's going to come out in different ways. And that's what you're going to need to get your students to kind of shift and think, okay, the outcome has to be a passing grade. How can I use some of my other talents that I have to help me get there? And the other is weakness fixing prevents failure, strengths building leads to excellence. And that last line is really the key to what this entire assessment and movement is about, is strengths building leads to excellence. Okay. Now, I had mentioned earlier that one of my strengths is communication. Does anyone have a little card on their table with communication on it? I'll make sure I don't have it up here. Oh, who would like to be the lucky winner? You are, because you're drinking. Tell me about communication. What does it say?
People who are especially talented in the communication theme generally find it easy to put their thoughts into words. They are good conversationalists and presenters.
Wow, that sounds really nice. Yeah, communicators, people who are especially talented in communication, generally find it easy to put their thoughts into words, and they are good conversationalists and presenters. Now, let's say you have a student who excels in communication. Because what it doesn't tell you is how this looks early on, before it's been refined. What it doesn't say is all this really means is you're a chatty Cathy, okay? It just means that you like to talk a lot, you like to tell stories. That's just what you do. In fact, you can't not talk to save your life. That's why I'm up in front with the camera on me. I'm mic'd because I can't not talk, okay? The difference is realizing this is a talent. I can then, you know, remember earlier the talent, skills, and knowledge. I can kind of hone in on this skill. I can say, okay, I'm a great communicator. It can either be very disruptive in class, or I can say, all right, what do I need to learn to be a better presenter? Do I need to do more public speaking, give more presentations? Do I need to pay attention to, am I moving around the room? What am I doing with my hands? For some of that, I had to watch videotapes of myself. In fact, just before this session, I was reminiscing with class about the first time he taped me, and I had long hair, and I was actually speaking to the same group of future teachers. And when I looked at the tape, I realized I had my hands in my hair like this for a good 3 minutes at the beginning. Now, I had no idea that I was aware of that. You better believe I'm aware of it now. But that started, adding that skills and knowledge and practice around a talent. If I don't do those things, all I'm ever going to be is a chatty Cathy. Okay? So some of our talents can go either undiscovered or undeveloped for a really long time, which is why I think, knowing your strengths and your talents is so important. Now, you haven't taken, one of you has taken the assessment, but she forgot her results, so we're going to have to start from scratch. There are certain clues that will tell you about your talents. Okay? I'm going to give you 5. What kinds of activities are you naturally drawn to? And this is a real question that I need real feedback on. What activities are you naturally drawn to? Gardening. With a bunch of people or by yourself?
Myself and my daughter.
With yourself and your daughter? Okay, somebody close. What other activities are you naturally drawn to? Reading. Reading out loud to a group or reading silently to yourself? Reading for information for herself. So not reading to laugh out loud necessarily, reading for information, and that's very key. What other activities are you naturally drawn to? Exercise and physical activity. Gosh, I wish I had that. What about it do you like? Feels good when you're done. Tell me more, because this is foreign.
Just the movement, being out, moving around.
And do you like to do it as a group, by yourself? What?
It's more motivating in a group. But
Okay.
if there's no group around, I'll still do it.
So more motivating in a group, but if there's not a group, you still want to do that activity. All right. Others. Come on, silent ones.
I like designing.
Designing. And what do you mean when you say designing? Do you do pencil and paper? Do you hop on the computer?
I like pencil, paper, invitations, party things, fingers,
Okay.
anything. Whatever it takes creativity.
Awesome. So it's just like that creative juice to flow. Just, give me pencil, paper. Are you a doodler during class? Where you kind of draw things in the margins? Okay, and it's a solo thing. You don't need input from somebody else or anyone telling you how to draw it. Just let you go. Yeah. Any others that anyone wants to add? Play music, like as in play or as in listen to? Play. Awesome. And what about that? Feels good.
I like the rhythm of music.
Kind of makes you feel good. Yeah, in the back.
I like to sing.
You like to sing.
But not in front of others.
Oh, you took away my next question. Just going to say, would you like to sing for us? No, but you like to sing.
Well, I do. I sing in my choir.
Okay.
But as long as I'm not singing solo, I'm okay.
Okay. So it's great when it's, when the focus is not all on you, but you're part of a bigger group. And then it's an activity that you're drawn to. Maybe one day. But you know what? You don't have to. So no pressure. But one of the cues to our talents is this yearning, things that we're just, that we're drawn to, that we we just can't step away from them necessarily. Right now, probably about 8 years ago, I learned how to knit. I can't stop knitting. I'm obsessed with it. Everywhere I go, every meeting I'm in, I'm like this. And I love it. And I have yarn that I could build mountains with now that I'll probably never use. But all of a sudden I got into it. I enjoy it. I, love everything about it. And I'm just drawn to it. And then we have these other activities that kind of repel us, right? There's ones we're drawn to, and then ones that really kind of go, oh. What are some of those activities that repel you? Come on. Meetings that are not around something that you enjoy. Staff meetings. Required readings. Reading for information, not something high on your let's go do it list. I have to admit, exercise just, it doesn't call my name. And I try. I've tried to listen, and nope, not calling my name. And definitely team sports do not call my name. I'm that kid. And they say, well, you can take MB. No, really, you guys can take MB. No, really, you can have her. It's okay if you have an extra player. It's me. So yeah, that's the first cue, is yearning. The second clue is activities that you seem to pick up quickly. So you have a natural attraction for it, and you seem to pick it up, like, really without, Math? Yeah, it just makes sense to you, doesn't it? How many of you wish you had that, where math just made sense? I have a daughter like that. Right now she's like, Mom, I'm taking accounting. I love the homework. Because it just makes sense. And she picks it up quickly. She's like, I've got my homework done before I'm even done with class. Because she enjoys it, and she does it quickly. What are some other activities that you just seem to pick it up? Writing? Yeah. Some people just know how to craft that sentence almost effortless. Thank you. That word. And it just seems natural, and once they get it, you don't have to repeat it again. They can just do it. For me, knitting was one of these activities. It was like, show me once, and I'm gone. I've got a scarf. I've got 10 scarves. It made sense. Other activities, not so much. Okay, so second key is that you just seem to pick it up quickly. And it takes no effort. I'll put it that way. Come on, clicker, flow. Again, this dovetails right on what we talked about, but activities where the steps just came to you automatically. It just made sense, and you just kind of knew without even thinking about it, this is what I have to do next. I think actors are often that way, or actresses. They just kind of flow, and they seem to know where to step, where to walk in the room, when to pause. They're just naturals at it. What activities can you think of that it just came to you? You talked about writing. For you, I bet it's just picking up a pencil and drawing. Childcare.
You can think of different things you have to do with them and just make sure their needs are met.
That's a great one, because we've all known people that just should not be with children, okay? And then others who they just know what to do with a baby, and they know what to do with a toddler, and they just, it just flows from them. Yes?
This may seem weird, but video
Video games, that is not weird. We are not, you missed the first part. We are not judging. There is no good or bad. We're all just different. Video games does not come automatically to me, but it is one that comes quite naturally to you.
I don't even have to look at directions. I can just pick up how to play it easily and then beat that video game within that hour.
That's amazing. That really is. How many of you have that? Okay, again, my same daughter with math, she gets a new game, does it till she beats it. Boom. Me, again, with my grandson who's 3, I have to have him turn on the Wii and get everything set up and set the controllers a certain way so they can do their thing, which I don't know what that thing is. And then finally he'll say, okay, Granny, now we can play. Okay? And when he's gone, then I have to call somebody and say, how do I get to 2-player? How did you get to where we were? Pac-Man, I've got that down. I can play Pac-Man. All this new stuff, not so much. Anything else that you guys want to throw out as activities that just kind of flow? Cooking? Yeah, that's another one. Cooking. Some people just know the combinations to add. They can just kind of eyeball it and throw it in. They know what different groups go together, what looks nice on a plate. I usually have color themes. The whole plate is a certain color. Tonight we're eating green. Tomorrow might be brown. I don't know. And it's hard for me to think, okay, well, if they're bringing this, then what do I bring? Did you have one, or you're just scratching? Okay. All right. 4th one. I like this one. Glimpses of excellence. What activities have you had those moments where you thought, wow, that was awesome. When can I do it again? How did I do that? Or people ask you, how did you do that? And you go, I don't know, I just did. That's just what I do. Where all of a sudden you just, boom, you hit it. What are some of those things? This is your opportunity to brag on camera, live. When have you just nailed something? Baking. All right. And what is your best baked item? Chocolate chip peanut butter cookies. Next meeting's at your house. All right. We already know that you have already beat all your video games. That's your boom. Got it. What else? Managing time. You are amazing. I bow to you. You get your homework done on time, and
I juggle work, school, 3 kids, and a husband.
yeah, 4 kids. Sorry, no. Yeah.
I figure out the time schedule that I have for homework and studying and teaching my kids stuff, and you have to, I guess.
But how many of us have missed that particular mark, that particular glimpse of excellence? But yeah, that's a great example. And it takes a discipline, but one that you seem to have developed to get to where you need to go. I need to keep up with my paper. I just start talking and then I lose complete organization. Last one, and this is a key one as well, satisfaction. They give you a kick. You feel energized by them. You can't wait to do it again. What are some of those activities? If you say exercise.
Organization.
Organization.
Yeah, I like things organized, and when they're organized, it makes me feel good, and then I want everything to be organized.
Oh, please come visit me. Please come visit me. Yeah, organization is one of those, and you can't turn it off, can you?
That's hard.
It's hard. It's, like, do you want to come straighten me up over here? Yeah. Being with your church, and what about that makes you want to?
I love being with those people because it's so fun, and I just can't wait to do it. Like, if I could go to church every day,
So you've got a group of people, you've got good energy there, things that a shared passion, and you just can't wait to go back. So if your church was just you,
I'll be there.
no, if it was only you and the people weren't there,
Well, it would be much fun.
it wouldn't be as much fun.
I mean, I'm funny. I think I'm funny.
You're hilarious. Yeah. What other things? You just can't wait to do it again. Yeah. Going to the gym.
I just love it. I love to work out and just can't wait to go back.
That's really cool. Can't identify, but it's really cool. No. Yeah, you just want to go. But what about going to the gym? Is it that
Just to keep my body in shape and just
is it free weights? Is it running? Is it
it's
both?
I do cardio and I
Oh my gosh. Cardio and free weights, the whole shebang. What other things? Student teacher presentations? Can't wait to do it again. No takers on that. It's all right, no offense taken.
Teaching a struggling student that
Teaching a struggling student.
one that otherwise like somebody wouldn't be drawn to.
Yeah,
It feels good. We like keep wanting to help them
yeah,
step it up a little bit more.
yeah,
And it's really
absolutely. When I, early on in my career, I'm a French major by education, and I'm not doing anything with that now because along the way, I started out working in the French department, realized I just like to pick up languages. So I learned Spanish, I learned some German, and then computers were born. And I learned how to do computers, and that kind of made sense. It was kind of like doing another language. And long story short, I end up with a job in IT. And one day, they're short a trainer. And they're like, MB, you know this stuff. Just why don't you go do it? Just take this booklet and you'll do fine. You know this stuff. You help people with this stuff all the time. And I thought, can't really say no. So I said, okay. I got in front of people and I loved it. I loved it. And for that exact thing that you were talking about, that moment when somebody gets it, when suddenly you just taught them something new that they'll be able to use. They had that aha moment. I love that. And I couldn't wait to get back and do it again because that was really cool. And all of a sudden I realized I've got a passion over here and I'm not bad at it. If I start watching my ums and my uhs and my, that whole nervous thing that happens, I might be able to develop this. Yeah, you guys.
I have, when you mentioned speaking in front of people, I remember at my graduation, I actually did graduate from high school. I got my GED over at the GRCC Learning Corner.
Okay.
And I got to speak and introduce the president and his wife. So that was one of the things that I would have loved to do because before I was afraid to speak in front of people.
Okay.
But now I'm like,
Yeah, give me that microphone. Come on up. Oops, what were you going to say? You were just, okay, sorry. But yeah, you know those occasions, I can't wait to go home and knit. Crazy as that sounds, and my husband's like, don't you want to go motorcycle, go on the motorcycle? I'm like, no, I kind of want to knit. It's one of those activities that I can't wait to do again. And we all have different things that draw us, different things that we pick up quickly, different things that, we learn fast, we just seem to be a natural, and then they leave us with this feeling of, I want to do it again. Now, there are some things that we might do very well that we don't want to do again. Okay? In my house, my dad was a physics professor, and there was a high emphasis on math. And I don't know if that was something that I picked up, but in my head, I had the message, do well in math. So I did well in math. I was good, I got A's. Went to college and it was like, I'm doing so well in math, I better keep going. And, I start looking at spreadsheets and columns, and I'm exhausted just thinking about it. I'm good at it, I can figure it out, but I don't say, whoo, when can I open Excel again? It depletes me. So it was a skill that I learned to do quite well, but it's not a talent and a strength. It doesn't have all those other pieces to it. So I could have gone down the road of becoming an accountant, and I would be miserable. Unless I could teach accounting, then I'd be back in front of a group and with, helping people get that aha moment. But to just spend my day looking at line after line, figuring out, all of that would be painfully depleting. So it's important to recognize that even though you're good at something, it doesn't mean you have to be locked into that for the rest of your life, no matter what anybody tells you. Figure out those things that you're passionate about, that you want to do again, because that's the fuel that's going to keep you going, that's going to get you out of bed the next day, so you don't dread going to work, but it's like, wow, I get to do this again. Not every day is going to be like that, but, you guys are all at like this optimal place in your life, going to school, figuring out what you want to do. And so look for those markers, look for those clues. Okay? And I've completely rearranged my papers now, so here we go. I was a little surprised. I wasn't sure what was coming next. So the magical formula for a strength is having that natural talent with all those factors that we just talked about, and then adding to it knowledge and skills. Okay, so you've got this natural kind of, yep, I love it, comes quickly, but you have to add the knowledge and skills. What's cool about this is it never stops. You can keep getting better and better and better because there's always more skills and knowledge that you can add. Okay, I mentioned earlier that I was a music kid at school. Now, I have a natural talent for music, okay? I could have left that talent alone, and 20 years later, I would still just kind of have a natural enjoyment for music, but I really wouldn't have developed it into a strength because I didn't do anything with it. Had an ear for music, and now just have an ear for music. But you start adding piano lessons, practice time, theory classes, and all of that, and you can absolutely explode that talent into a strength. Okay? The way that Strengths Quest defines it is a strength is the ability to provide consistent, near-perfect performance in a specific activity. The key to building a strength is to identify your dominant talents, then complement them by acquiring knowledge and skills pertinent to the activity. So figure out what those talents are and explode them with knowledge and skills. Okay? Do you guys have questions? You guys are all just kind of looking, nodding. Anyone disagree with me? Come on. Yeah. No? This is exciting? Is it? Oh, nobody's nodding their head on that one. This is what we already talked about. And This has a lot of clicks to get through the slide, but you know, it's about that whole building. Wow, this has a lot of clicks. It's about that whole building something into a strength, okay? Building that knowledge and understanding, developing the skills so that it can really end up being a strength. We talked about that. So what I'm going to do now is cards on your table. Who would like to volunteer to read one of the cards on your table? And I'm going to give you more cards because I want you to have all of them. Yeah. You don't have any cards. Oh, here's your moment. Tell me what one of your cards says. Consistency. Tell me about consistency. All right, consistency. What Strengths Quest has done is broken it down into 34 different themes of talent. Okay, and they have kind of this paragraph description that they break it down into different themes. And that's what's on these cards, are different themes. And so we just heard consistency is one of the themes. And that is that need to do things in a very routine manner, to be consistent, to make sure that everyone is treated the same. You know, no special favors over here. Everyone is going to be treated the same. Just that desire for consistency. That's one of the themes of talent that you may or may not be naturally drawn to. Somebody read me another one. Yeah. Responsibility.
People who are especially talented in the responsibility theme take psychological ownership of what they say they will do. They are committed to stable values such as honesty and loyalty.
Responsibility. I love working with people who have a theme or strength and responsibility because they never say no. They feel responsible for whatever task I might ask them, or whatever committee I might ask them to be a part of, or whatever volunteer activity. They just can't say no. And then they feel very responsible to make sure that whatever they've said they would do, they get it done. People with theme and responsibility, they don't, slack off. They get it done because they feel so responsible for that project or that product or for that child or, Yes. Exactly. And that's, the other thing that we haven't talked about yet is each one of these strengths, if it's overused, is your Achilles heel. Responsibility on overdrive leads to burnout completely. And so those people have to painstakingly learn how to say no. And it is painstaking when it is a natural, part of who you are. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because any of these on overdrive, a mess. Communication on overdrive, get her out of the room. Somebody read another one for me. Yeah.
Adaptability. People who are especially talented in the adaptability team prefer to go with flow. They tend to be now people who take things as they come and deliver and discover the future one day at a time.
Thank you. Adaptability. These are the go with the flow. I am just going to go with the river wherever it leads, and I'm good with that. Those are people that are strong in the adaptability theme. Yeah?
Input. People who are especially talented in the input team have a craving to know more. Often they like to collect and archive all kinds of information.
Input. Yeah. Have you done the Strengths Quest? No? Because I bet you're an input is one of yours. Just the way you said earlier, I read for information because you want to collect information. Input people want to collect. They might be things, they might be ideas, they might be articles. I'm just going to keep it because I might use it later, so I'm going to put it over here. And gosh, that's a really good article. I'm going to keep that one too. And just you just never know when that piece of information might be useful. And am I describing you? You know,
I
it's,
hate that about myself, but I do that. I tear stuff out of magazines. Oh, I want to remember that. I do, exactly.
yeah, and or somebody else might find it useful. I have input as well, so I am, you know, it's just I just want to keep collecting things. That's why I can build a mountain with my yarn right now. Earlier today, it came out as our student worker, you know, said, "Does anyone have an aspirin?" And I said, "I have aspirin, I have ibuprofen, I have Tylenol. What can I, you know, provide for you? I've got a full smorgasbord because somebody might just need this, whether it's information or it's a product." When I take classes at night, I'm the one that always has a cough drop for that student across the, you know, the class that, you know, just I'm like, I got you covered. I brought cough drops, you know, because I just make sure I have what I need just in case. Okay, somebody read another one. Yes, I'm looking at you. You go, girl.
Restorative. People who are especially talented in the restorative theme are adept at dealing with problems. They are good at figuring out what is wrong and resolve it.
Restorative, yeah. Good at figuring out what's wrong and resolving it. Good at solving problems. You know, just being able to see a situation and go, you know what, I think if we did this, yeah, I think that would work. Or something is broken and they can kind of bring it together. Somebody else, read me a card.
Woo.
Oh, do woo. This one is called woo.
People who are especially talented in the woo theme love the challenge of meeting new people and winning them over. They derive satisfaction for breaking the ice and making a connection with another person.
Woos know everyone. They know them by name. They're the ones that across, you know, when you're down at Bostwick Commons, they're like, hey. You know, woos just naturally attract people. They just have this way about them, and they love it. They love meeting every single person. I have a friend who's a woo, and she came late to a meeting. She's like, I am so sorry I'm late, MB. I had to stop and get gas. And the woman in the, you know, pumping next to me, she has cancer. Like, and I just, you know, I'm like, how? You talk to the people that are next to you at the gas station? And you know, but she just has that natural, you're drawn to her, and then you want to tell her your story, and she genuinely cares. Okay, so woos, you know, the best way to shame a woo is to tell them I don't like you. Because they'll just be like, no, what can I do to fix it? You know, what can I do? You know, the same person that was late for the meeting got married a few years ago. And she was talking about, you know, she had 400 people invited to her wedding. Thinking, I don't even know if I know 400 people, you know, unless we count Facebook friends. And then she said, but I had another 400 that I wanted to invite. You know, that's what woos are. Does anyone have relator on their table? Read relator for us, if you would.
People who are especially talented in the relator theme enjoy close relationships with others. They find deep satisfaction in working hard with friends to achieve a goal.
Relators work very close with a select few others. When I was asking you guys earlier about your activities, do you like to do it in a group? Do you like to do it by yourself? You know, you mentioned you like to do gardening by yourself or with your daughter. You know, so someone close to you. Relators are the people that their friends have been friends with them since they were in kindergarten. It's just a few, it's a very tight circle, but they will give you the shirt off their back. I mean, that's the relationship, you know, and they're happy with that. For them, if you say, hey, do you want to have a party Friday night? They'll say, well, what couple should we invite over? You ask a woo, you want to have a party Friday night, and they say, what venue shall we have it at? Okay, that's the difference there, you know. Close-knit group, you know, world peace over on the other side. You know, and we have everything in between, but you know that kind of about yourself, and it's not that you're, you know, not a people person. It's just how you connect with people is very different. You know, there's another theme. Does anyone have developer?
Here it is.
All right, tell us about developer.
People who are especially talented in the developer theme recognize and cultivate the potential in others. They spot the signs of each small improvement and derive satisfaction from these improvements.
I am betting that just about all of you have some developer in you, or you wouldn't be in this profession. Developer is being able to see that child and go, yeah, this is going to become something good. This is going to become somebody incredible. And enjoying working with that struggling student and helping them and deriving just incredible satisfaction from the achievements that they make. Because that's just cool. Okay? That's developer. Anyone have analytical? No analytical. Analytical is one where it is, as it sounds, constantly analyzing, always looking at something from a different angle, seeing all, the possible things that could go right or could go wrong. Okay? Now, the ability to analyze and to be able to look at things in all those different ways is a tremendous talent. But if misinterpreted, it might feel like, I'm coming up with all these ideas. Sorry, class, I keep moving. I keep coming up with, all these ideas, and the analytical's like, no, that's not going to work. No, see, MB, the flaw with this one is, and I'm just going to go, I'm going to feel a little hurt after a while. Like, really, every idea I come up with, it's going to feel like to me, like they're shooting them down. But they can't turn that analytical piece off. They just are naturally kind of thinking the next 3 steps ahead, going, yeah, but if we do it this way, I can already see what's going to happen, and I need to tell you. Okay? So it's important for us to understand that we're all wired very differently. And what is a strength for you might drive somebody else batty unless they know that about you. Yes, often we attract people like that into our lives because it feels like they complement us, they balance us out, but can also, drive you crazy. Give me some others that we haven't read. I'm going to look at you until you read one. Okay.
Okay, activator. People who are especially talented in the activator theme can make things happen by turning thoughts into actions. They are often impatient.
Activator. Activators are great when you need to get a project off and running because they, boom, want to make it happen. Activator is one of mine, and I don't like that it says they are often impatient. I'm not impatient. I just want to get it done. Let's go. We've got 80% of the project together. Okay, let's run with it. Where analyticals are like, no, we need to have 100% of it ready and proven before we can go. Activators are just kind of like, nope, let's go. Let's go. Now, what often activators may lack and need to surround themselves with is somebody who has sustainability as a theme. So that once they've activated that project, they've got it going, somebody else can step in and say, I love to just keep the machine running. I love to just keep things moving. Don't make me do that brainstorming stuff or have to, sell the product. I love to just keep it moving, and I will keep it moving well. Okay? One of the slides said, that leaders get to where they are and deliver outstanding outcomes, but they get there a different way. I'm hoping you can start to see the different ways that you can get somewhere. And contrary to popular thought that wants us all to be well-rounded individuals, we aren't. We're never going to be. But you can surround yourself with people with other talents that complement you. You can be on a well-rounded team. So that if you've got a communicator on your team, make that one be the person that, has to either write the memos or get the message out. if you've got analytical on your team, make sure they are looking for every possible thing that could go wrong so you can anticipate it. If you've got responsibility on your team, oh man, make sure you don't overwork them because they will say yes to everything. But that's how all these can kind of come together. When you take the StrengthsFinder test or assessment, it'll give you your top 5. And your top 5, the cards have you read the standalone description, but your top 5 kind of work together. Okay? So if you have input and ideation, you are this collector of things, thoughts, and you love brainstorming and doing ideas. And so then you be kind of a collector of ideas, and you might have this little notepad like, oh, this would be a great idea. Oh, this would be a great idea. And you just, I got to jot this down because someday, that could happen. So that's how they start to weave together. I did this assessment with a group on campus, the Institutional Research and Planning. Okay, so people that analyze data for a living. And it was not surprising to see that almost everyone in the room had analytical as part of their theme. That's what they do. But one of them had analytical and context. Now the context themes likes to look back and see how we got to where we are today. Look back and see, all right, what happened to get us here? One of the others had analytical and futuristic, which is always that, what can happen next? What can we be striving toward? And they were perfectly fit in their jobs. This one over here, his data was all about what are the trends, what are the benchmarks, what have we been doing to see how GRCC has arrived at this today. The other person was in charge of looking at all the data and figuring out, okay, where are we going to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, because that's where we need to go. So they took those talents and with them combined together, they had a great fit as far as their jobs go. But that's how, they're both analytical. One loves looking at the past, one loves looking at the future and is drawn to it. So I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking. What do you guys have to say? Questions?
So is going to Strengths Quest free to do it?
No. No, it is not free. There's a couple different books you can buy. The least expensive is one called StrengthsFinder 2.0. And I think it's probably $10. They have them for different age ranges. Like they recently developed one that's for like the middle school age range. And then Strengths Quest is the adult one. And then there's also one now where it's called Strengths-Based Leadership. And it takes those talents and looks at it specifically in a leadership context. How can you leverage your strengths to help you become, an exceptional leader? So I was going to give these out to people that participated, but you've all participated so well, because inside this book is an access code, so you can go online and take the assessment, print out the report. It always says when you print out the report to email it to 2 people that know you well, because sometimes you look at your report and you're like, I don't know if these are my strengths. It's just what I do. Sometimes it's hard for us to see our own strengths because they just come so naturally to us. But when you have somebody else look at your feedback, they'll be like, well, yeah, that's why you're always arranging this, and why your room is perfect, and why your desk is perfect, and da-da-da-da-da. Or, they'll just be able to spot it. Like, they'll just go, well, duh. This is you to a T. And have that nailed. So, Trish, do you have any creative ways that I can hand out 5 books Draw numbers. Birthday in January. Well, don't tell me, because now I'll. Let's see. Birthday in June. Ah, 2. There you go. Let's see. Did anyone know any of the children that were at the beginning of the slide?
That one had to be your daughter.
Yes, it was my daughter. So, and she's like, she's been on campus for a couple of years. So, yeah. I know. I wish I had that long curly hair, but we'll give you points for guessing. Oh, the pictures. All right. We were talking about. What would happen if I walked in this room and I thought, oh, these kids are probably just here for extra credit points. I bet they're going to be on their phone. They'll probably be talking to each other. They're probably going to look, come on, like this. How would that affect my teaching? As opposed to if I walked into this room going, man, everyone here has a talent. How am I going to draw that out? How am I going to tap into that? And just the different approach to working with a group of people and how that can affect. Yeah. You know what? This little girl actually is clip art. I don't know her, so that was a trick question. She just looked really cute, and I was like, wow. You're welcome. Yeah, I think I Googled something like, it wasn't cute kids, but along those lines, and that's how I got that picture. But do you guys have questions about this? You guys are just kind of, no? Let me get out of here, or who's going to get the last book? She's like, yeah. What'd you say, number 1 through 10? There's more than that in appeal.
Yeah, pick a number 1 through 15 and let everybody have a shot.
All right. I'm picking a number. Well, actually, how about who has the card developer? You got it? All right, you get the book. You get the book. All right, well, if you guys don't have questions for me, that's what I've got. So.